The next case is one that I actually worked on myself. It's about managing accounts receivable. This company, it's my friends, you could say. What was the problem? He has a lot of small clients. He sells rolled metal, buys it, cuts it, and sells it. And there were a lot of clients. And this was in 2023, a significant portion of them were borrowed. And at that time, they were heading toward default. Then he says, I don't know how to sell anymore. People come to me and everyone wants deferred payment. 3 months, 2 months. I don't know whether to give it to him or not. I mean, I have no idea what's going on in his company, whether he'll pay me back or not. And the tools he has, like 1C, ERP, they weren't working. We created, based on a model, though not a generative one, an analysis of payment behavior. That is, we analyzed how this person behaves according to historical data previously. It determined risk based on various algorithms used for risk analysis and thoroughly analyzed the history. There is access to different sources that show the company's financial condition in dynamics. And based on this, we gave him a specific recommendation. Not based on his emotions or feelings or on what the salespeople say, but on such data. In this case, it's a distributor, and he has thousands of SKUs. He has 1C, hundreds of managers, and a bunch of partners. In this distribution business, there is back margin, front margin. Those who have dealt with it know. How much do we earn right away? We bought the product, it has a purchase price. And then there are also bonuses, kickbacks, which are actually accrued later. And for a single item, for example, a television manufacturer, they had, let's say, 20 manufacturers competing within the same category, well, those who were selling to them. And they say, we don't know what we should sell. We see the purchase price, like the price is fine, but then there's also the back margin. And then there's also the turnover rate of this product. So there are many factors, and we can't. And this was their key issue, their main limitation. They realized that they couldn't make decisions all at once. So we developed a similar system where we gathered all the contracts, their contracts with these partners, analyzed them, and uploaded them into the system. Then we analyzed all the factors, combined everything together, and created an agent for them that provided a clear assessment. If you sell this to this client, you'll earn more, but it's better not to sell this other item. And essentially, the manager stopped getting stuck in the process. When someone asked for certain TVs, they understood exactly which ones they needed to sell, the ones that would earn them more based on all the calculations. Absolutely all analytics are taken from all the data that exists, all the data from contracts. In short, all the data is consolidated in one place. And the system learns. Moreover, it was implemented using several generative models. This story no longer exists in that form. It still exists, but under occupation, it has suffered significantly. In Zaporizhia, I also have an acquaintance who had a lot of people, a large number of staff. And in the company, things were kind of a mess. It was hard to figure anything out. There were about 600 people working there. And as for gas stations, there were not that many considering the number of employees. He says, my problem is that I have a high staff turnover and I don't understand how to train them. That is, they come in, start doing something, do it wrong, do it poorly, customers are dissatisfied, I start training someone, they quit, and so on. And we created such a system, essentially based on what I showed you, where a person simply asks a question and the system gives them an answer to a specific question. In this way, they learn. Plus, we also developed an interactive learning system for them, which allows for onboarding. That is, a person goes through a certain framework, and as they progress, they are asked questions, given material at the beginning, and they learn online. We tried to measure the effectiveness to the end. Unfortunately, we were not able to determine it in monetary terms for that project. Well, that's honest information for you. This story with language analytics might really appeal to some of you. So, what is this system? All conversations from any IP telephony or from chats are collected. And we also added, as the next case, which I'll show, audio badges, these things that are attached here. Everything people say, everything is uploaded, everything is transcribed. This is very easy to do nowadays. And then it is fed into a specific algorithm where the algorithm structures the particular conversation. We want the manager to first say, good afternoon, and then, would you like some coffee? For example, if you need fuel, there is a certain script, a certain sequence. If we don't want coffee to be offered 3 times, or, as happened, for women to be offered military service, they were just making things up, we set the structure of the conversation. You see, here is the structure. And the red part is what was not said. But what the speaker says, the system identifies specific words. And in this way, a specific process of structuring what the manager, salesperson, or the person corresponding says takes place. And you can even talk about the level of structuring in the thinking of the person who is doing something. We can even influence through such a structure in a certain way on how he thinks. This specifically, measurably, and clearly affects conversion rates and indicators related to money. Here, the story is already clear. Such a badge and any person offline. Who is talking? If you have, for example, 30 to 40 stores, you can develop a system, a structure for how you would like these people to communicate. You hang such a badge, and that badge is activated by a certain word. Then the board community greets you, and it gets activated. And then it says, goodbye, have a nice day, and it turns off. And immediately it goes here, and then reports are generated, and you can specifically control everything that people who sell by talking are saying. This particular neural solution works. It is not a generative model. It's a regular neural network. It works the old-fashioned way, word by word. Specific words are written as an algorithm. And it recognizes Ukrainian very well. It even recognizes Kazakh. We tried it on one project, but at a certain point we connected internal Kazakh models that are trained on the Kazakh language. Nazarbayev University and so on. Next case. By the way, it's far from possible to implement this in every company. I'll explain the algorithm for how to do this, how we do it. But an unsuccessful case is our guy, but he's in the Emirates. The go-go stage, according to Adidas, that's a classification. It's when a company, like a startup at first, they got together, agreed on things, everything worked out well, the business model took off, and then they all start hustling. Hustling. No one knows who is responsible for what. Just everyone. And it's read according to integral dynamics. If there's time left, all that information is there. Basically, everything is held together by the director's authority. He's got everything in his hands. I control everything. You all are nothing without me. And he basically sits there with all these cameras. I walk into his office. There are cameras everywhere. He's controlling everyone. ERP dashboards. They set some up for him. And he tells me, I want to control everyone. I say, okay, but why? Well, to be efficient. Anyway, we have a standard procedure. I'll talk about it. I tell him, at the stage you're at, what will you achieve by controlling more? The only result you'll get is called a stroke. In other words, as a human, you have limitations. Physical, intellectual, in your brain. And you can't control more than those limitations allow. And you need to build a structure, a system, and then you can use artificial, and you need to direct it. And they say, what are you telling me? I pay money. And that's it. That's where it all ends.